The HFY ship floated in the darkness of space like a giant sleeping creature. It was not made of metal like human ships. It was grown from living tissue, with walls that breathed and floors that pulsed with a slow heartbeat. The ship belonged to Ambassador Xeranth, a tall and thin being with skin so clear that you could see the soft glow of his organs beneath it. He stood in the observation room and watched the small human shuttle approach. "She comes alone," said Kethman, his assistant. Kethman was younger and smaller, and his glowing organs flickered with nervous light. "The humans send only one person to meet us." "That is what they requested," Xeranth replied. His voice was soft and musical, like wind through hollow reeds. "They said they would send a diplomatic attaché, a specialist in languages. Nothing more." The shuttle was tiny compared to the HFY vessel. It looked fragile and simple, like something a child might build from scraps. Xeranth watched it dock with his ship and felt something close to pity. The humans were so new to space travel. They had only left their small blue planet a few generations ago. They knew nothing of the dangers that waited in the galaxy. They knew nothing of the HFY Dominion. The Dominion had conquered 17 species across 3 star systems. They did not conquer through brute force alone. They were clever. They studied their prey. They learned their weaknesses and their fears. Then they used those fears to break them before the real fighting even began. It was efficient. It was clean. And it had never failed. The humans would be the 18th conquest. Xeranth made his way to the docking bay with Kethman following close behind. The bay was large and empty, with walls that glowed a soft green from the bioluminescent bacteria that lived within the ship's skin. The shuttle had already landed, and its single door was opening with a hiss of pressurized air. The woman who stepped out was not what Xeranth had expected. She was average in every way. Her height was common for human females. Her hair was brown and pulled back from her face in a simple style. Her clothing was gray and plain, without any symbols or decorations that might show her rank. She carried nothing but a small device in her hand, which Xeranth guessed was a translator. Her name, according to the file the humans had sent, was Lavra Bennett. She was 34 years old. She had spent most of her adult life studying languages at a small research station near the edge of human space. She had no military training, no combat experience, no family connections to anyone important. She was nobody. And yet, as she walked toward them across the docking bay, Xeranth felt something strange. It was not fear exactly. His species did not feel fear the way other beings did. But there was something in the way she moved, something in the calm steadiness of her eyes, that made him want to step backward. He did not step backward. That would be foolish. She was just a human. A soft, fragile creature from a soft, fragile world. "Ambassador Xeranth," Lavra said. Her voice was quiet and pleasant. She smiled at him, and her smile seemed genuine. "Thank you for agreeing to this meeting. The United Earth government is very grateful for your willingness to talk with us." "We are happy to meet with your kind," Xeranth replied. "Humanity is new to the galactic community. We wish to learn more about you." This was true, in a way. The Dominion did want to learn about humans. They wanted to learn everything. They wanted to know how humans thought, how they fought, and most importantly, how they could be broken. That was why this meeting had been arranged. That was why a full squad of HFY hunters waited in the lower levels of the ship. Lavra Bennett would never return to human space. She would be taken to a research facility on the Dominion homeworld, where scientists would study her body and her mind until they understood exactly how to destroy her species. She did not seem to suspect any of this. She simply smiled and nodded and followed Xeranth as he led her deeper into the ship. "Your vessel is beautiful," she said as they walked through a curved corridor. The walls around them pulsed with soft light, and the floor felt warm and almost alive beneath their feet. I've never seen a ship grown from living tissue before. Human ships are all metal and plastic. The HFY have been growing our ships for thousands of years, Zyrinth said. We find that living vessels serve us better than dead ones. That makes sense, Lavra agreed. Life adapts. Metal does not. They continued walking. Kefman followed a few steps behind, his organs still flickering with that nervous light. Zyrinth wondered why his assistant was so anxious. Everything was going according to plan. The humans suspected nothing. The hunters were in position. In a few moments, the trap would spring, and Laura Bennett would belong to the Dominion. And then something happened that Zyrinth did not expect. Laura stopped walking. She stood very still in the middle of the corridor, and her head tilted slightly to one side, as if she was listening to something far away. Is something wrong? Zyrinth asked. No, Lavra said. Her voice was still calm, still pleasant. But something had changed in her eyes. The warmth was gone. In its place was something older and colder, something that made Zyrinth think of deep water and long winters. I was just noticing that your ship has a very interesting design. The way the corridors curve, the way the walls are shaped. It would be very easy for someone to hide in the shadows here. Very easy to set an ambush. Zyrinth felt his organs grow cold. I do not know what you mean, he said. Lavra turned to look at him. Her smile was gone now. Her face was as still and empty as a mask. I think you do, she said. I think you know exactly what I mean. I think you have known since before I arrived what this meeting was really about. And I think you have made a very serious mistake. In the shadows of the corridor behind them, something moved. Lavra did not turn to look at it. She did not need to. She already knew it was there. She had known from the moment she stepped onto the ship, and she was ready. The hunter dropped from the ceiling like a falling stone. It was a HFY warrior, bred for killing over hundreds of generations. Its body was covered in hard plates of chitin that could stop most weapons. It had 4 arms, each one ending in claws sharp enough to cut through metal. Its eyes were black and empty, designed to see in total darkness. It moved faster than anything Zyrinth had ever seen. But Lavra moved faster. In the first second, her body dropped. She did not step backward or try to run away. She went down and forward, sliding beneath the arc of the hunter's claws. The movement was so quick that Zyrinth's eyes could not follow it. One moment she was standing upright. The next moment she was beneath the hunter's attack, untouched. In the second, her hand closed around the hunter's lower left arm. She grabbed it just above the wrist, where the chitin was thinnest, and twisted. The sound it made was like a branch breaking in a storm. The hunter's arm bent in a direction it was never meant to bend, and then it snapped. In the third second, Lavra used the hunter's own weight against it. She pulled on the broken arm and turned her body, and the hunter flew through the air and crashed into the wall. The living tissue of the ship buckled and tore under the impact. Blue blood, the same color as the bioluminescent glow, splattered across the floor. In the 4th second, the hunter tried to rise. It was fast and strong and trained to fight through pain. But Lavra was already there. Her palm struck its chest with a sharp, precise motion. It did not look like a hard blow. It looked almost gentle. But the hunter's body jerked as if it had been hit by a speeding vehicle, and something inside it made a wet, cracking sound. In the 5th second, the hunter stopped trying to rise. It lay on the floor of the corridor, its black eyes staring at nothing, its breathing shallow and wet. It was dying, and it knew it was dying, and there was nothing it could do. In the 6th second, Lavra heard the second hunter coming. She did not turn her head to look. She did not need to. She could hear its claws scraping against the floor. She could feel the vibration of its footsteps through the warm, living ship. She stepped to the side, smooth and easy, like a dancer, and the second hunter's attack passed through empty air dot in the 7th second. Her elbow connected with the second hunter's head. She hit the spot just above its primary eyes, where the skull was reinforced with extra layers of bone to protect the brain. The bone was strong enough to stop a bullet. It was not strong enough to stop Laura. There was a sound like an egg cracking, and the hunter's legs stopped working. In the 8th second, the second hunter fell. It hit the floor beside its companion, twitching and shaking as its damaged brain tried and failed to send signals to its body. Blue blood pooled beneath both of them, spreading slowly across the organic floor. In the 9th second, Laura turned to face Ambassador ZYR single quotes Neth. She was not breathing hard. Her hands were not shaking. Her face was calm and empty, like it had been before the attack. The only sign that anything had happened was the blue blood on her gray clothes and the 2 dying hunters at her feet. 9 seconds. That was all it had taken. 9 seconds to destroy 2 of the finest warriors the Kethvari Dominion had ever produced. Zyrinth could not move. His body would not obey him. Every part of him, every cell and organ and nerve, was screaming at him to run away. This was not fear. This was something deeper. This was the ancient recognition of prey in the presence of a predator. "I believe," Laura said, her voice still quiet and pleasant, "that we need to talk about what is really happening here." Behind Zyrinth, Kethman made a sound like a small animal being strangled. The young aide had pressed himself against the far wall of the corridor, his organs flickering so fast that he looked like a malfunctioning light. He was terrified. Zyrinth understood why. "You are not what your file said," Zyrinth managed to say. His voice sounded strange to his own ears, thin and weak. "My file said I was a linguist," Laura replied. "That part was true. I have studied languages all my life. I know 14 human languages and 6 galactic trade tongues. I can read ancient texts that most scholars have never heard of. Everything my file said about my education was accurate." She stepped over the body of the first hunter without looking down. Her feet left prints in the blue blood, but she did not seem to notice. "What my file did not say," she continued, "is that before I became a linguist, I spent 12 years working for a part of my government that does not have a name. We did things that will never be recorded in any history. We went to places that do not exist on any map. And we dealt with problems that the public will never know about." She stopped a few steps away from Zyrinth. This close, he could see her eyes clearly. They were brown, an ordinary human color, but there was nothing ordinary in them now. They were the eyes of someone who had seen terrible things and done terrible things and had made peace with all of it. "I was retired 3 years ago," Laura said. "My superiors said I had become too good at my job. They said I was developing what they called a problematic efficiency. So they gave me a new identity and sent me to a quiet research station where I could study languages and forget about the things I used to do." She smiled, and the smile did not reach her eyes. "But the thing about people like me, Ambassador, is that we never really forget. The training stays with us. The instincts stay with us. And when someone tries to trap us, when someone puts us in a situation where we have to fight or die, those instincts wake up very quickly." She looked down at the 2 hunters on the floor. One of them had stopped breathing. The other was still holding on, but not for much longer. "I knew your ship had hunters on board the moment I stepped through the docking bay door," she said. "I could smell them. I could feel the way the air moved around them. I knew exactly where they were hiding and exactly when they would attack. I've been ready for this since before I left my shuttle." Zyrinth finally found his voice. "Why did you come then? If you knew what we planned, why did you walk into our trap?" Laura looked at him, and for a moment, something almost like sadness crossed her face. Because I wanted to give you a chance, she said. I wanted to see if maybe, just maybe, your Dominion would choose to talk instead of attack. I wanted to believe that the galaxy was not as cruel as I have always known it to be. She shook her head slowly. But you made your choice. And now I will make mine. Lavra began walking down the corridor as if nothing had happened. She moved past the bodies of the hunters without a second glance, her footsteps leaving blue prints on the living floor. After a moment of frozen silence, Xerath found himself following her. He did not know why. His body simply obeyed, like an animal following a stronger animal. Kethman stayed close behind his ambassador, his organs still flickering with fear. The young aide kept looking back at the fallen hunters, as if he expected them to rise and attack again. They did not rise. They would never rise again. Where are we going? Xerath asked. His voice sounded steadier now, but only a little. To your command center, Lavra said without turning around. I assume it is in the upper section of the ship. That is where most species put their important rooms. How do you know where our command center is? I do not know for certain. I am guessing based on the design of your corridors and the placement of your support structures. Your ship is alive, but it still follows certain rules of biology. The brain is usually at the top. Xerath said nothing. She was right, of course. The command center was exactly where she thought it was. This human, this soft creature from a soft world, had figured out the layout of his ship in the few minutes she had been aboard. You have questions, Lavra said. I can hear you thinking them. Ask. Your species, Xerath said slowly. Are all humans like you? Lavra seemed to consider this question for a long time before answering. No, she finally said. Most humans are not trained the way I am trained. Most humans live peaceful lives. They grow food and build homes and raise children. They study art and music and science. They are kind to each other, mostly. They are gentle. Then how did you become what you are? I was made, Lavra said. My government took me when I was young and taught me how to be what I am. They trained my body and my mind until I became a weapon. But here is the important thing, Ambassador. Here is the thing you need to understand. She stopped walking and turned to face him. The corridor was dim, lit only by the soft glow of the ship's living walls, but her eyes seemed to catch the light and hold it. They did not create anything new in me. They simply awakened something that was already there. Something that exists in every human, in our blood and our bones and our genes. We call it different things. Some call it the survival instinct. Some call it the killer instinct. Some call it the will to live. But it is all the same thing. It is what made us what we are. She started walking again, and Xerath followed. Earth is not like other worlds, Lavra continued. Your scientists have a name for planets like ours. They call them Deathworlds. Do you know what that means? I have heard the term, Xerath admitted. It refers to planets with extreme conditions. High gravity, dangerous weather, hostile life forms. Yes, Earth is all of those things. Our gravity is heavy enough to crush creatures from lighter worlds. Our weather includes storms that can tear buildings apart. Our oceans are filled with predators that have been killing for millions of years. Our land is covered with animals that have claws and teeth and venom. Even our smallest creatures can be deadly. We have insects that carry diseases that have killed billions of our kind. She paused at a junction in the corridor. Without hesitation, she turned left. Xerath knew that she had chosen correctly. The command center was in that direction. Humans did not evolve at the top of our food chain, Lavra said. We were small and weak compared to the predators around us. We had no claws, no fangs, no armor. We could not run as fast as the animals that hunted us. We could not see in the dark like them. We could not smell danger coming like them. By all rights, we should have died out millions of years ago. But you did not die out. No, we survived. We survived because we learned to do things that no other animal could do. We learned to make tools, weapons, and traps. We learned to work together in groups, to communicate, to plan. We learned to chase our prey for hours and days, until they collapsed from exhaustion and we could kill them. We learned to adapt to any environment, any climate, any challenge. They reached a large door made of the same organic material as the rest of the ship. Lavra stopped and turned to face Zyrinth again. Your Dominion has conquered 17 species, she said. I know this because I read everything we have on your civilization before I came here. I know how you operate. You find your targets, you study them, and you break them psychologically before you attack them physically. You have never failed because you have never faced a species that was ready for you. And you believe humans are different? I know we are different. We are the children of a death world. We carry the memory of every ancestor who survived when they should have died. Every human alive today is the descendant of thousands of generations of survivors. The weak ones did not pass on their genes. Only the strong ones did. Only the clever ones. Only the ones who refused to give up. She gestured at herself, at her ordinary body and her plain clothes and her calm, steady face. Look at me, Ambassador. I look like nothing. I look like the easiest target in the galaxy. But inside me is the same fire that burned in my ancestors when they faced down predators with nothing but sharp sticks. Inside me is the same determination that kept my species alive through ice ages and plagues and wars. I am not special. I am just a human. And that is exactly what makes me dangerous. She turned back to the door. Now open this door. I have things to say to your officers, and I would prefer to say them only once. Zyrinth hesitated. He could call for more hunters. He could try to overwhelm her with numbers. But he looked at the blue blood on her clothes and the emptiness in her eyes, and he knew that it would not matter. She would kill them all. She would kill them all and walk back to her shuttle without breaking a sweat. He opened the door. The command center was shaped like a dome, with curved walls that glowed with soft green light. Holographic displays floated in the air, showing star maps and data streams and images of distant worlds. A dozen HFY officers stood at various stations around the room, their transparent skin revealing the nervous flicker of their organs. When Lavra walked through the door, they all turned to look at her. She could see the fear in them. Word had already spread through the ship's neural network about what had happened in the corridor. They knew that 2 of their best hunters were dead. They knew that this small, ordinary-looking human had killed them in 9 seconds. And now she was standing in their command center, her clothes stained with blue blood, her eyes as cold and steady as the void of space, that none of them moved to attack her. None of them even reached for their weapons. Good, Lavra thought. They are learning. She walked to the center of the room, where the largest holographic display hung in the air. It showed a map of the galaxy, with the territory of the HFY Dominion marked in red. The red covered most of the map. Human space was just a tiny dot of blue on the edge, barely visible. I want to speak honestly, Laura said. Her voice was calm and clear, filling the domed room without effort. Your Dominion sent this ship to capture me. You wanted to take me back to your homeworld, where your scientists would study my body and my mind. You wanted to learn how humans work so that you could figure out how to break us. You planned to invade our space and add us to your empire. Is this correct? Zyrinth had followed her into the room. He stood near the door, his aide trembling beside him. He said nothing. I will take your silence as a yes, Lavra said. She studied the star map for a moment, her eyes moving across the red expanse of the Dominion. So many worlds, so many species, all of them conquered, all of them broken, 17 species, she said. I know the names of some of them. The Valkyrie, who lived on a garden world of eternal spring. The Muffin, who built great cities in the clouds of a gas giant. The Servani, whose songs could be heard across entire star systems. They were all beautiful in their own ways. They were all unique. And you destroyed them. One of the officers, a tall Kethvari with darker skin than the others, stepped forward. We did not destroy them. We conquered them. They still exist. They serve the Dominion now. Do they? Lavra turned to face the officer. Do they really exist? Or do they just survive? There is a difference, you know? Existing means living. It means growing and changing and creating new things. Surviving means just not being dead. It means being a shadow of what you once were. The officer did not respond. Lavra walked around the central display, her footsteps silent on the organic floor. I studied your conquests before I came here. I wanted to understand how you operate. And I learned something interesting. Every species you have conquered was peaceful. They were herbivores, or they were hive minds, or they were pacifists who had forgotten how to fight. They were easy targets. They did not know how to resist you. She stopped and looked at the officers one by one, meeting each of their eyes in turn. Humans are not like them. We are not peaceful. We have been fighting since before we had words for it. We fought each other. We fought our environment. We fought everything that tried to stop us from spreading across our world and beyond. Fighting is in our blood. It is who we are. You cannot defeat the Dominion, another officer said. This one was smaller, younger, with organs that flickered rapidly beneath his skin. We have thousands of ships, millions of soldiers. Your kind has one small system with one fragile planet. You are correct, Lavra said. We are small. We are new. We do not have the resources that you have. She paused, and a strange smile crossed her face. But let me tell you something about humans, officer. Let me tell you what happens when you push us into a corner. She walked to the edge of the room, where a window looked out into the darkness of space. In the distance, barely visible, a yellow star glowed. Earth's sun, home. When humans are threatened, we do not surrender. We do not negotiate. We become something else entirely. We become creatures of pure survival, pure determination, pure rage. We have a word for it in my language. We call it going berserk. It means losing yourself in the need to destroy your enemy. She turned back to face the room. Our history is filled with stories of small groups of humans defeating much larger enemies through sheer force of will. We have stories of single humans holding off armies. We have stories of wounded soldiers fighting until their bodies literally could not move anymore. We have stories of ordinary people doing impossible things when their loved ones were in danger. She walked back toward the center of the room, and the officers moved out of her way without thinking. You think that your numbers will save you. You think that your technology and your soldiers and your conquered slaves will be enough to break us. But you do not understand what you are facing. Humans do not break. We bend, we bleed, we suffer, but we do not break. And the harder you push us, the harder we push back. She stopped in front of Ambassador Zyrant. I am giving you a choice, she said. You can go back to your Dominion and tell them what happened here. You can tell them that you tried to capture a single human and that she killed your hunters and walked through your ship like she owned it. You can recommend that they leave human space alone and find easier targets somewhere else. That is option 1. She held up a second finger. Option 2 is that you continue with your plan. You try to take me. You try to invade human space. You try to add us to your collection of broken species. Her eyes seemed to glow in the dim light of the command center. If you choose option 2, then you will learn exactly what a Deathworld species can do when it decides to fight back. And I promise you, Ambassador, it will not end well for the Dominion. The room was silent. The officers did not move. Zarenth did not breathe. I am not making threats, Lavra said quietly. I am making predictions. I have seen what my species can do. I have done some of it myself. We are not monsters. We do not enjoy killing, but we are very, very good at it when we need to be. She stepped back and folded her hands in front of her. So what will it be, Ambassador? Peace or war? The docking bay was quiet when Lara walked back to her shuttle. The soft hum of the ship's living systems filled the air, mixing with the gentle pulse of the bioluminescent walls. Ambassador Zarenth followed her at a careful distance, his aide Kethmon staying even further behind. No one tried to stop her. No hunters dropped from the ceiling. No soldiers blocked her path. She walked through the ship as freely as if she owned it, and in a way, she did. She had earned that right with blood. When she reached her shuttle, she paused at the door and turned to face the ambassador one last time. He looked different now than he had when she first arrived. The confidence was gone from his posture. The pride was gone from his voice. He looked like someone who had just learned that the universe was much larger and much more dangerous than he had ever imagined. You could have killed us all, Zarenth said. His words were soft, almost a whisper. You had the skill. You had the opportunity. After you killed the hunters, you could have fought your way to this bay and taken our ship. You could have used it as a weapon against the Dominion. Why did you not do this? Lavra considered the question. She stood with one hand on the frame of her shuttle door, her brown eyes looking at something far away. Because killing is easy, she finally said. Any species can learn to kill. Your hunters knew how to kill. The predators on my homeworld know how to kill. Even plants on Earth know how to kill. It is not special. It is not difficult. It is just destruction. She turned to face him fully. What makes humans different is not our ability to destroy. It is our ability to choose when to destroy. We develop things like mercy and forgiveness and restraint. We learned that not every battle needs to be fought. We learned that sometimes the strongest thing you can do is walk away. Zarenth shook his head slowly. I do not understand. You showed us what you can do. You proved that humans are dangerous. Why would you then choose to show mercy? Does that not make you seem weak? No, Lavra said. It makes us seem wise. There is a difference between being unable to fight and choosing not to fight. The first is weakness. The second is strength. She looked past him toward the depths of the ship where the bodies of the two hunters still lay in the corridor. Her face showed nothing, no regret, no satisfaction, no pride. Just a calm acceptance of what had happened. Those hunters were following their nature, she said. They were doing what they were bred to do. They were serving their dominion the only way they knew how. I do not hate them for attacking me. I do not hate you for ordering it. You were all acting according to your understanding of the universe. And what is your understanding of the universe? Lavra smiled, and for a moment she looked almost sad. My understanding is that the universe is very big and very cold and very dangerous. My understanding is that life is rare and precious and worth protecting. My understanding is that every species has the right to exist, to grow, to reach for the stars in their own way. She stepped into her shuttle, but she did not close the door. Not yet. The Dominion has spent thousands of years conquering and consuming. You have built an empire on the broken backs of other species. But empires do not last forever, Ambassador. They all fall eventually. The question is whether they fall with grace or whether they fall with fire. What do you suggest we do? Zarenth asked. I suggest you go home. I suggest you tell your leaders what happened here. I suggest you give them my message, which is this. Laura's eyes met his, and there was something ancient and fierce in them, something that had survived ice ages and extinctions and the death of worlds. Humanity wants peace. We want to trade with you, learn from you, share the wonders of the galaxy with you. We want to be your friends and your partners. That is our first choice. That is what we hope for. Her voice grew quieter, but somehow more intense. But if you force us to be your enemies, we will be the worst enemies you have ever faced. We will not surrender. We will not break. We will fight you with everything we have, every weapon, every strategy, every drop of determination in our souls. We will burn your fleets and storm your worlds and tear down everything you have built. Not because we want to, because you gave us no other choice. She stepped back into the shuttle and put her hand on the door control. We are survivors, Ambassador. We survived our death world. We survived ourselves. And we will survive you one way or another. The choice of how is yours to make. The door began to close. Wait, Zyron said. I need to know something. Lavra paused. What are you really? Not a linguist. Not a diplomat. What are you? Lavra looked at him through the narrowing gap of the closing door. Her face was calm, almost peaceful. The fierce light had faded from her eyes, replaced by something softer, something almost human. I am just a person, she said. A person who was given skills she did not ask for and trained to do things she did not want to do. A person who retired to a quiet life and hoped she would never have to use those skills again. The door stopped moving, leaving just a thin sliver of space between them. But I am also a daughter of Earth, and when my home is threatened, when my people are in danger, I remember what I am. I remember what all of us are. I remember that we are the children of a world that tried to kill us every day of our existence. And we refused to die. She pressed the control, and the door slid shut completely. Through the small window of the shuttle, Zarinth watched her settle into the pilot's seat. He watched her hands move across the controls with easy confidence. He watched the shuttle's engines glow blue. As they powered up Dodd, the shuttle lifted off the floor of the docking bay and drifted toward the exit. It moved slowly at first, then faster, until it was just a point of light against the darkness of space. Zarinth stood there for a long time after it was gone. He stood there until Kethmon came to find him, until the ship's officers began asking questions, until the weight of what had happened finally settled on his shoulders. He knew what he would tell the Dominion. He would tell them the truth. He would tell them that the humans had sent one quiet woman to their ship, and that she had arrived with nothing but a smile and a translation device, and that 9 seconds later she had killed 2 of their finest warriors. He would tell them that Earth was not a world to be conquered. It was a world to be respected, a world to be feared. And if the Dominion was wise, truly wise, they would listen. They would leave humanity alone. They would let the children of the Death World live in peace. Because if they did not, if they pushed too hard and woke the sleeping giant, then the universe would learn what humans had known for thousands of years. The quiet ones were always the most dangerous.